This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to the training webinar for Section 21 notice completion. My name is Darren Kwong. I'll be your presenter for the next 10 minutes. Section 21 notice is the most commonly served notice by landlords in relation to getting possession of an assured short-hold tenancy. So first of all, where do we get our Section 21 notices from? And the best place to look at it would be on the government website, which is www.gov.uk. And then just type in assured tenancy forms, and hopefully this particular page will pop up. If I just get my spotlighter up, the one that you want to choose or click on will be the Form 6A, which you can see here, and that will download a Word version for you to your download section of your laptop or your computer. Hopefully, it should look like this. So it's about 2 pages long. This is the first page of the Section 21 notice stroke Form 6A, and it's just really giving information to the tenant regarding what they should do when they receive a particular notice from you. So this particular first page needs to be left in its entirety. I won't go through each line obviously now because we don't have the time, but it's just really explaining to the tenant what the Section 21 notice is what's its ultimate aim from a landlord's perspective, and what advice or who should they go and seek advice from. So first page is just information for the tenant. Just to make you aware, if you can just see where my spotlighter is, that gives the date of the Form 6A, or when it is last updated. So the most current version of the Section 21 notice is the 1st of October 2021. Today's recording is being done in December 2022. So the first page, as I said, is just really for information for the tenant to understand what the notice is and who they should go and seek advice from. So in terms of its completion, as I scroll down the particular page, so most of it is relatively straightforward. There's no real hidden questions on here or bits of information. All the information that you should have or is required is information that you should have to hand. So first point, again, to insert the full names of the tenants. It doesn't include occupiers, as in permitted occupiers, and it doesn't include guarantors. It's the people named as the tenants, even if one of them may have left halfway through the fixed term and there's the other remaining tenant there, that you would still include both names of the tenant on this particular form. So it's basically mirroring what agreement you have with the tenants. Even though their circumstances may have changed subsequently, you always put the names of the tenants in this particular form. So that's hopefully relatively straightforward. Now, one question might be if the tenants have changed their name or the surname, they may have got married, then you would just put in there. So the name of the tenant in terms of the married name, and then just put NE, whatever their maiden name was. So it just doesn't confuse the courts in terms of why is there a different name on the tenancy agreement than there is on the Section 21 notice. So it's all about trying to make sure that there's an explanation if there's a change in the details from the tenancy agreement to the Section 21 notice. Point 2, so point 1 hopefully is nice and straightforward in terms of the names of the people that you need to put on the form. It's only the tenants. In terms of point 2, you are required to leave the below address after. So you've got to insert a calendar date. Now, in terms of legislation, you can only serve a Section 21 notice to end either the fixed term or any periodic term thereafter. So the earliest date your notice will expire will be after the end of the fixed term. So the minimum notice period at the moment is 2 months. You always add on a few days for delivery. So for argument's sake, if my fixed term ended on the 30th of June 2022, and I was serving it in the middle of June, for argument's sake, on the 15th of June, the earliest it could expire would be on or around the 17th or 18th of August 2022, take into account service time, because you always add on 2 or 3 days for delivery. So in terms of the insert the calendar date, that's always a minimum of 2 months. You always add on 2 or 3 days in terms of service time. So the minimum notice periods will be around about 2 months and 3 days to be absolutely safe. But just to reiterate, it cannot end during the fixed term. It can only end after the end of the fixed term. So that's, again, in terms of probably one of the issues that most people potentially get it wrong. They will potentially insert or only give 2 months exactly, and therefore not allowing for service time, which therefore could render your Section 21 notice invalid. The other one that gets people in terms of some confusion, and I totally understand this confusion, is the word after. You are required to leave the below address after a particular date. Now, the word after creates a bit of ambiguity, because if they leave a month after your notice or the expiry date on your notice, they have left after. However, that's the word which the legislation requires to be inserted on the form, so therefore you can't change it. The next one underneath, in there goes the address of the property, obviously. So again, just copy that exactly as the tenancy agreement has it stated as. So again, that includes a postcode as well. And then going on to the second page. So again, point 3 here, I'll just bring my spotlighter up. That just shows, it just says, if your landlord does not apply to the courts within a given time frame, this notice will lapse. If you are entitled to more than 2 months' notice, your landlord can rely on this notice to apply to the court during the period of 4 months commencing from the date specified in section 2 above, which is the expiry date. In all other cases, your landlord can rely on this notice to apply to the court during the period of 6 months commencing from the date this notice is given to you. So the first point is just confirming that the minimum notice period is 2 months. It's then saying that the Section 21 notice has a lifespan. So if your notice required is 2 months, you've basically got 4 months from the expiry of such a notice, then to go to court and seek possession of the property if the tenant doesn't vacate. So 4-month period from the end of the notice period on your Section 21 before the Section 21 loses its validity. You can no longer use that Section 21 notice when you're going to court. So it's quite a long period of time. 4 months is quite a long time for you to be able to start court proceedings. So hopefully that shouldn't be an issue. Just be mindful of that. If you are giving the tenant extra time, potentially you're being a bit more tenant friendly, you're giving them some favors, etc., then potentially that could come back and bite you on the bum if you left it too long, because your Section 21 will lose its right to start court proceedings. You would have to serve another Section 21 notice. And then the last part of the Section 21, which again is relatively straightforward, is just the information of the person signing the Section 21 notice. If you're a landlord, then obviously you would put your details down as the landlord, and they would probably know you are the landlord, being the tenants. So you would just sign it, put your details down. That could be an address anywhere in England and Wales or Scotland or the UK. It could be overseas. It doesn't have to be an address in England and Wales. So it could be any address, and you just sign it and you date it. And that would be sufficient enough for you to complete your Section 21 notice. If your agent's doing it on your behalf, they would put their details in there. There doesn't need to be any information about you as the landlord. Again, the law would assume that the tenants would know that you are the landlord, or they would know that the agents who are serving this notice would be acting on your behalf, because I assume they would have been in contact with the tenants previously in relation to moving in, moving out, potentially dealing with repairs, etc. So there shouldn't be any shock if they're receiving this Section 21 notice from either you as the landlord or your agent if they're acting on your behalf. So that's very quickly through a Section 21 notice. As I said, there are other issues that arise from completion of a Section 21 notice, which I will talk about on other webinars. So we'll talk about all the compliance documents that you need to serve as a landlord or agent in relation to serving a valid Section 21 notice. And we'll also discuss service time, because service time is always the one that potentially snookers landlords, they get that wrong, and how you serve notice as well in terms of the process, whether it's hand delivery, whether it's first class post, whether it's recorded delivery or by email. So we'll discuss that on other webinars as well. But in terms of this particular one, this is all about how you complete a Section 21 notice in terms of the detail. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me, but hopefully you found this particular short webinar useful. Thank you.